Thank you for being here to honor our loved one, Eric Russell, son, father, brother, grandfather, and friend. I'm honored to stand in front of you this morning and heartbroken for the reason why. My sincere condolences go out to the Russell family, Father Percy, Brother Keith, Sister Kim, daughter Brianna, son Brandon, and grandson Valen, the rest of the Russell family. My heart breaks for you. Bettina, I'm so sorry we met under these conditions, but you traveling here to speak with us speaks volumes to your strength and love for Eric. I know how much he loved you as well. When you called me that morning, my heart was broken. I couldn't even process what was happening. But after we spoke, I thought I could feel myself heal a little bit. For that, and from all of us, Bettina, we love you. Bettina, will you join me for a second? I'm going to try something I've never seen before, but I'd like to do it. I don't care who you're next to, but if you would, please turn and face the person you're next to. Close your eyes with that vision of Eric, and give the person in front of you a hug.
Eric was really big.
For the old Delmarcus.
Eric was my first friend when I moved to Delmar. He and I were classmates, and we managed to put two of our desks together. We covered it with cardboard, top and side, and we called it a fort. That's right. Sheri Ball was the only person with access into our empire. Access to any empire. I was so fortunate to see Eric as a great kid. He was smart, talented, athletic, friendly, and everything a guy would want in a friend. I would hope to be the same. The only difference between us was our hair. One night I spent the night at his house, a young little kid. And I showered and I got my hair all in a mess. Hair was big back then. I called down the hall, Eric, can I borrow your brush? And he came into the bathroom, pulled out the drawer, and handed me his pick. I didn't know what to do.
Just hobos.
During our summer days, Eric and I would walk down to the beach. We would body surf, eat 50-cent French fries, run and walk on the sand. At the end of the day, we would head out to that payphone, having already spent our 50 cents for lunch. And we would call the operator and say, we have dimes credit. Please call my house for a ride home. It was the ride homes with Eric's father, Percy, in that little two-seat black convertible that were so special. Eric would get in first. He'd set one bun on the chair and the other one on the center console. I'd get in and close the door on my hip. And without Percy having to say a word, Eric knew that when Percy pushed in that clutch, he better clear his legs. So he spent the whole way. It's just awesome. But during those years, I was able to meet the first love of my life. She and her friends would walk down from Salada Beach and join us. And as a positive David, I was able to reach out to Kristen Wilson to tell her how special she and those days were to me. Eric and I would go on to share our friends' weddings, rounds of golf where he would battle to shoot under 90, and I would battle to save every golf ball in my bag. We would go on to share fine dinners, desserts, and cigars. And Eric is one of the few people who have come out to the log cabin for a visit. We would do anything in the world for Eric, and as you all know, he was that great of a man. I will never know the reason for him leaving us, but I believe in my heart he fought as hard as he could to stay here with us. An email I received the other day ended with love and light. I had never heard that phrase before. The meaning I found just so beautiful, and it was something I would like to hope for all of us today. May we all go forward with love and light. Rest in peace, Eric Russell. I love you.
Good job, buddy.
I'm pretty sure you're going to find the reason why after high school I went to work, and our next speaker went on to educate at UCLA and Harvard. Paul?
Well, first of all, thank you everyone for being here. When we were here last year, I never thought I'd be back here so soon. I am happy that we've assembled here today, and I know this is something that would have meant a lot to Eric. As most of you know, Eric and I grew up 50 feet from each other. We were neighbors. Eric's was the last house on our block, and there was all this construction, and I was down at the construction site. This was in the summer of 1970, and I was building what was going to be a balloon, a carriage for a balloon, and Eric came down and he decided to join me in this project. And we were going to get some balloons and we were going to fly off together. That was our plan. And for a number of different reasons, that project never really got off the ground. So, our friendship spanned 42 years. We were practically inseparable through most of, up through high school. We competed at everything, basketball, ping pong, football, baseball. I tell a story, online about how I was pitching to Eric and he liked my bat. So in between innings, he would come and take my bat out of our dugout and take it to his side. And then he steps up to face me and hits a home run off me with my own bat. And I was so close to Eric, and I was so happy for him that I clapped when he went around the bases. And my coach could not understand, like, what the hell was wrong with me that I would be clapping for him, He's like, I said, he's my friend, and like, he didn't get why that mattered, but that was how I felt. We went to movies, we did a lot of the criminal stuff that Chris said. I mean, that thing with the, I think it was Eric and I who discovered that, because we lost a dime in that same phone booth, and when we called the operator, and they said, oh, you can say it's a dime credit. We used that for years. I mean, if there were still phone booths, I would use it today. Yeah, that dimes credit thing was a great thing. But, whether we were sneaking into the Del Mar Fair, yes. Whether we I don't know, in 15 years, and I used to go almost every day if I ever paid for it. And then when we got in there, of course, Eric knew everybody who worked all the stands, so we had free food, free rides, whatever. It was crazy. It was like a vacation every day. There were definite benefits to knowing Eric. And Chris mentioned the 50-cent French fries down on the beach. And the reason, well, Eric and I also learned pretty early on that there were tips on the table, always. There was always money to buy French fries. Oh, no! Right. We didn't know that that's how people made their living. And you have to understand, when you had Sheri and Julie Weaver and Amy Coke and Debbie Carlin constantly going, do you have some money so I can go get a Coke? Our money lasted, we'd get down there at 9, our money lasted maybe 9:15. So we either starved or we had to go get tips for French fries. So that was our life, yeah. We would then go on the water, spend all day, boogie boarding, body surfing, come back, build a fire. I mean, it was, I call them the golden years. Those were the years that all of you who've been here in those 70s remember Del Mar the way it was, and it's a great feeling. Eric and I were great at pranks too, I'll tell you. I saw Tim Donhout here. I don't know if your brother, if you remember when we pulled your brother's bike up the top of the flagpole.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So we pulled it all the way to the top, and it's floating around up there. I'm like, hey Mike, look how windy it is. Look at the flag. And he goes, oh my God. His bike goes running over there. So Eric starts lowering it down. Thing breaks. It comes crashing down. Almost hits Eric. Robbie Robbins and I were rolling on the ground laughing. And the bike is just in a heap. And we're like, okay, well, see you, Mike. Gotta go. So we're walking home, and all of a sudden, Mike's mom comes driving up behind us with the bike in the back. We weren't laughing anymore. But those kind of things, Eric and I we did a lot of stuff like that. When I think about Eric, I can't help but think about his infectious laugh and smile. Yeah. People were naturally drawn to him. If he was your friend, you always wanted him around. If you didn't know him, you wish you did. While Eric may not have gotten along with everybody every minute, I can honestly not remember anyone not liking him. In return, Eric was very generous with his friendship and kindness. He was very easy to talk to, and he had a way of making you feel comfortable and important. As popular and seemingly effortless as it was for Eric to make friends, there was another side that he rarely shared. I can remember on our trip to Hawaii after we graduated, he confessed to me painful stories of racism. In one instance, Eric told me what Eric was told by the father of one of the girls that he was so excited to be taking out that it was the last time that he would ever be allowed to see her. Those things he shared were heartbreaking and make it even that much more remarkable that Eric was so universally accepting of others. Eric never revealed these painful insecurities to the people around him because he didn't want anyone to feel sorry for him. Instead, he laughed and smiled and helped us all feel more comfortable with ourselves. I don't understand what could have happened in Eric's mind that left him with the feeling that there was no way out. I do know that he had a great deal to live for, a compassionate and lovely fiancée, Bettina, his 2 beautiful children and grandchild, and a plethora of family, friends, and admirers. I wish Eric could have reached out to one of us when his heart began to hurt, because I know any one of us would have raced to be by his side to help. So, now it's with a heavy heart that I say goodbye to my oldest friend. Maybe when I join you in heaven, we can finally finish that balloon and sail out together.
Aww.
Beautiful. Thank you. So if anybody else wants to say anything, now is your opportunity.
Before I woke up, maybe a week ago, I dreamt that Eric and I shared a hut. You know, and I really believe in angels and God, and I believe that he's still around too.
Got it.
Everyone's got their greatest fear. This is pretty much mine, public speaking. But, I feel I need to say something about it. A few years ago, he moved up to LA. I've been in Santa Monica for 16 years, and I really missed having somebody I knew from down here. It was hard. He moved up, and I was excited. I couldn't believe it. A good buddy of mine was near. So we started to spend a lot of time up there. He'd come up in my neighborhood. We played this great little golf course right by my house in Venice. I'd go down and hang out with him down in Long Beach, go out for happy hour. And typical Eric would go right in the middle of that happy hour, and boom, he's the focus of everybody. There's Eric laughing and smiling. And it was just typical for him. So we spent a lot of time, our friendship got stronger and stronger. And the last 2 or 3 years, like I said, I spent a lot of time. Things started happening with Eric. We started figuring out things weren't 100%. Brent was a hero with him. Brent drive up, take care of things, help out, and helped Eric a lot on that. Brent was, like I said, he was a hero on that for me. It was harder for me to deal with. But Brent was there like he always is for anybody that was close to him. The last time he had visited, we met for 2 or 3 times, went for breakfast, dinner, whatever. Always ended up down here. That bench, sat hour and a half talking politics, like we always did. I remember the days, the weeks, the months that led up to him moving to Sweden. It was like a kid waiting for Christmas. I've never seen anyone more excited to go somewhere. I always figured he was going to be okay. I thought that was what he needed. And apparently, it wasn't enough, but I don't think he could have had a better situation, a greater person to be with, a greater town. I know you all see the pictures where he lived, like a fairy tale man. And that's all we ever talked about. He called me every couple of weeks talking about it. He was just raving about how beautiful it was there, how happy he was. And for me, I'm missing those calls. I'm struggling with this. I forgot what I was saying. I got one more. Okay, this is an Eric moment. When he'd come and visit, he'd talk me into going, this is just an Eric thing. Going up to the Union. I don't know if anyone knows the Union up in Acadia. We got to the front door at the beginning. and it was like we're the grandpas coming in. And I'm not going in there. Everyone there was like 25 son, and I'm going, Eric, I'm not going in. Sure enough, he's all, we're going. Right to the middle. I mean, this place is packed. As packed as anything I've ever seen. Just all these great-looking people, women, men, whatever. Right to the middle. And he's dragging me along. Within 10 minutes, again, the focus of this union was Eric. Everywhere we'd go, that was Eric. Everyone's focus was on me. That smile, truly ear-to-ear smile everywhere, that laugh. I was fortunate, like I said, wasn't that close to him, but towards the last 2-3 years, I haven't been closer to anybody other than my son, pretty much in my life, in these last 3 years. He was a great man. And I feel privileged and honored, and I'm so happy that I got that close with him at the fourth. I love the man. He's just the greatest. I know you all do too. That's all I got.
Hi, I'll make it quick. I'm Dave Ramstad. That man that I hung out with for 4 or 5 years through high school and out of high school was one of the best people I've ever met. And so I truly love that man, my dad. So, Sell my heart out to the family and friends, and I just wanted to let you know that I love him just like all of you.
It's going to be really hard for me. Eric was a brother. We got 3 sisters, so it was starved brothers. Eric and I we weren't real similar in a lot of ways. We argued about everything, brother. We were politically opposite. We saw everything differently. We could watch the same play in a football game and talk for a week about it differently. And I love that about him. He didn't back down. One of the, there's so many funny things about Eric, and everybody's right. How could a guy with this much love forget it was there for him? But we won't understand the struggle, but I'm certain if we see him on the other side, I will argue with him about that too. He had so many meals at my house. We played 1 million rounds of golf together. We were basically in a bromance the last 15 years. And it was really good for both of us. It was a great relationship. I watched his kids grow up. I've been almost as a member of the family. I feel really close to his brothers and sisters and his kids and his parents, of course. I'm very sad to see him go. I've been pretty angry for about a month. Pretty pissed off. I didn't even drop a tear until this morning. I was driving to the beach at about 6. I know there's no surf, but I went out. It was really calm, and it calmed me. And I'm just out at tabletops. There's not a soul in the water, and a little pod of dolphins goes by, and all of a sudden the memories started flooding. He and I went surfing one time at 8th Street, and we got out of the water, and as you always do at 8th Street, you sort of look back at the ocean, and right where we were, there were thousands of dolphins, which is, thousands sounds like an exaggeration. As far as the eye could see, as far out, it was just this crazy happening. And we stood there and just watched it, both of us knowing that it's just something you don't see. You might see it in the open ocean when you see these giant pods. But it was like right inside, 10 feet of water out to the kelp beds. It was crazy. And I've shared so many great moments with him, whether we were in Baja, skiing, we snowboarded together a ton, we golfed together a ton. I'm gonna miss him. He took a piece of me with him. There's a hole in my soul right now, and I hope it doesn't grow. He took a piece of me with him, and I'm gonna miss him. And I'm glad you guys are all here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. It's gonna be tough for everybody. This is how much we all loved Eric. I in my life. I didn't like him so much. There was this kid that beat me on the playground running, and it was a constant chase. Thereafter, he and Chris were my brothers. I mean, we didn't date. I'll tell you now, I wanted it. If I had it to do over again, I would have gone on a date with that guy. Every girl knows there was an Eric thing that, I mean, his smile, it wasn't just his looks. You don't know how handsome he was. It was the eyes, the smile, and a warmth you felt when you gave Eric a hug. It was like no other. I pray we all reach out to one another through this. I know I have. And taken a look at some issues I've been white knuckling, and I don't want to go to that place where Eric was. I do know when I saw him last how the look in his eyes because of Bettina, I'd never ever seen it. And it was comforting to let my friend go to you and all of us because he had babies in life. He just loved me so much. We were all blessed to have him. Thanks.
I'm Robyn. I remember in 8th grade that I was the commissioner of dances at Brewer. And I remember nobody was on the dance floor, so I grabbed Tabo.
That is the man there for the dance. Yeah.
And then Eric said, oh no, oh no. And there was a dance competition, everybody was on the floor, and Eric said, we're gonna win. I'm like, bring it on, let's do it. And we won the dance contest, and they gave us each an album, a record, a vinyl. They gave us vinyl, and we looked at each other and just went, we won an album! And we were so stinking happy. And fast forward, I was living in a guest house up here, and one day, somebody knocks on the door, and it's Eric. I'm like, what's that? He goes, I think I want to rent this guest house, but I live here. It's not for rent. He goes, if you ever move out, I want to live right here. And it was just, he was just a bro. You know, he's sorely missed. Thanks.
Brent Benner, friend of Eric since high school, like all of you. Love you. I saw Eric back in April. He came back out here. We stayed in touch all these years. Really showed an interest in getting into stand-up paddle surfing. So now every time I'm stand-up paddle surfing the River Mountain to Del Mar, Eric Spirit rides with me. I was talking to my wife, thinking, what is anything to say? What should I say today? And she reminded me of a dinner we had at Brent and Sue's place about 3 years ago. My little boy, who was 8, was 5. He was saying the blessing, and he was going around the table saying, "Bless Mommy, Daddy, Sue, Brent." He got to Eric and he said, "Bless the bald man." Going, so everybody kind of opened their eyes and looked around, started laughing. Thought I'd just share that one as an uplifting moment. He always had, as everyone has said, he's had a great infectious smile. He was a good friend. We'll sorely miss him.
I just want to say something. I'm Celia, for those who don't know me. I have a lot of great memories of Eric when we were young. I was blessed to grow up here with all of you. But I want to talk a little bit about Eric in the last few years because I was so fortunate to be able to be connected with Eric. A couple years ago, some of you know, my son was injured catastrophically. It changed my life forever, changed his life, obviously. And you know what Eric taught me? Eric reached out to me. A lot of people, they avoid me like the plague. I've lost a lot of friends over that. heartbreak and a lot of remaking ourselves. And Eric has been my friend ever since. We've talked about choices, we've talked about remaking ourselves, about loves lost, and about the loves that are in the future. And Eric wasn't just a great guy when we were young. Eric developed and matured into one of the most amazing men that I've ever known. He was a good man on this planet. And I'm glad Brent brought it up because, frankly, I'm a little irritated. I wasn't done with Eric, and I don't think anyone else here was either. So it's just a tremendous loss, and I'm so glad you're all here to celebrate what a good man he was, as well as a kid. The whole thing was all good.
Hey, why don't we all hold hands and give Eric a moment of silence?